Welcome aboard to podcast 20 in the series of the Voyage to Back Yonder. I recently celebrated a birthday, and it seems that those celebrations of our annual rotation around the sun can shake up the mind a bit as the noise of expectations echoes within us. Each birthday can be a reminder that my days are numbered, and those supposed to's of what I should have in my life or the person that I should be at this point in my life might accuse me of failure. Whenever I get sucked out into the storm of the fear of losing conditional love, one of the anchors that brings me back to my bliss is one of my daily mantras I created for myself that says, "The only thing that I know for sure is that I want to seek unconditional love. And once I have that, then I'll move on to the next thing." And I can't yet imagine what else there could be. I take a deep breath and I let that resonate with my being as I focus all my energy into that statement in my core. Everything else on the external begins to drift away out of my orbit because I'm no longer drawing it to me. The expectations become quieter the further they drift away. There it is. The silence, the bliss blooms. It's in this silence that I can then observe the expectations from a distance without them triggering fear responses within me. So in a protective bubble of unconditional love, I don't feel threatened. I don't feel the need to defend myself because I have nothing to defend. I am who I am. Everyone else is who they are, and I don't sit in judgment of them. They are who they are, the perfect character in this giant play. No matter their choices, I get to decide what my life means about me and what every circumstance and action from others means about me. I can choose that it means nothing about me, and everyone's actions are just the performance we have wanted and agreed to put on for this grand play. No matter my choices, they get to decide the same. And that has nothing to do with me. That is not my business. My business is the decision and choice I make in each moment. And that's all I really have any control over. So in this space of power and safety, I can reflect on the expectations that might be accusing me. There's a common expectation in our society that families are supposed to get together and celebrate birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and they should be there when I'm accepting awards in school, blah, 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 blah. What a wonderful opportunity for disappointment that's created with that expectation. It was my fear ego that convinced me that the external actions of others was supposed to define me, define who I am. If they were not there for those events or, weren't there to notice and validate my accomplishments, then I was convinced by my fear ego that it meant I was not worth much. When my father was not around a lot while I was growing up because he worked nights and most weekends, I didn't notice until I was shown on TV that families were supposed to do things together all the time and be in each other's business. When I saw other families doing fun things together, I thought they were a bit odd at first, but then realized that every family was a bit odd and different. We moved around a bit between my ages of 8 and 13, living in like 5 different states, moving 7 times. Being the new kid at school didn't win me friends easily, and any friends I had made did not keep in touch when I moved away. Because friends came and went, I quickly learned to stop attaching to them because it seemed unwise to count on something that would disappear. I had one sibling, an older brother, and he became my role model and my consistent friend through these moves. At 15, we entered a private Christian school that our church created. And all my friends from school lived miles away, so I would mainly see them at school or at church events, but rarely saw them outside of that. Not living near them like you would your public school classmates, reinforced that distance. I would basically come home from school, work on my self-paced learning packets, and then go back to school. I did get attention for acing my tests and being so productive because I worked on schoolwork all the time, so it drove me to accomplish more and more and more. So much that I ended up graduating a year and a half early because I had focused on schoolwork and not much else. And as with any family, all my family members were living their own lives, and entering my teenage years, I felt lost. And I imagine every teenager feels that way because we have hormones going crazy and we start seeing the bigger world and we feel small in this huge mechanism. And while we're trying to become our own person, we start to resent a little bit being told who we should be and what we should do. The year of my high school graduation, my dad had moved to California to start up another business and to prepare us to move. My brother joined the military not long after that. My mom flew down to meet my dad in Mexico for a mutual friend's wedding, and when she returned, she announced that he had asked her for a divorce. Now, I admit, I was a bit relieved. This stranger that I interacted with on occasion when he was home was in a constant battle with my mom. And even on the occasions where I didn't hear them argue, I could feel the tension between them. Also, during all this time, from about age 11 or so, I had developed feelings for men. And it was shortly after that my mom and brother became born-again Christians, so being the youngest member of the family, I was drawn along, finding out that my feelings I was having was looked upon as one of their biggest sins. Perfect. And it was perfect. With a huge fear that I would let everyone down, including God, it created a thicker wall around me. And I know everyone must have one of these, especially at that age of our lives. We fear being rejected for who we want to become, for the desires and dreams we might have, and we sacrifice them all to fit in and try to be acceptable by whatever tribe we're engaged with. After my dad sold his business in Texas, where my mom and I were still living and working, at age 18, I started working in retail and gained my first close friend outside of the school experience. So after about a year, he moved away to go to college, and so it seemed the lesson not to invest myself in someone else was being reinforced. My movie of my life would take a turn at 21 when my mom remarried and I became close friends with another gentleman at work. We started hanging out, working out, shopping, and partying. He became my best friend. I loved him like a brother. And then things went a bit more beyond that, which crossed the line of acceptability for the organized religion I was still involved with. We didn't go too far with our interactions, but it still pushed me to the edge of almost killing myself at age 22. And at this point, from age 22 to 29, I turned majorly inward to focus on my relationship with the only one that had never abandoned me, God. I struggled with my feelings toward men still, but never acted again upon them during those 7 years. I also was in a struggle between seeing God as a conditionally loving God who required us to not do so many things in life in order to get into heaven, and to continually ask for forgiveness for letting him down. Can you imagine what a relationship with a parent would be like on earth if we continually felt we were letting our parents down? Oh yeah, I guess a lot of us did or do feel that pressure, huh? How did that or does that make us feel? Of course, with God, we have the threat of being eternally damned to hell. Worst case for physical parents, we would just be rejected from their lives, disowned, and taken out of their will if they have one. So when I made the decision to come out and be myself at 29, it was then that the Creator revealed himself to me as an unconditionally loving being, and our relationship became so much deeper. I trusted him more and more and more with each step that unfolded in my life. I share more about the supernatural experiences and events that sparked all of this within my books and free podcasts. So if you want to hear more about those, feel free to check those out. I share all of this history to shine light on the myriad of expectations that each of us might have had on how the life of this human character should have gone. I'm sure that at least one of these experiences resonated with your own life, because everyone I have spoken with in my life has shared many similar experiences. I also mention all of this to bring you to the present point in my life where, over the last 10 years, I've spent most of my time outside of work without much physical interaction with humans. I do interact with many people via text and Facebook, email, and for me, because of where I'm at in my life, I feel like I'm with that person when I'm chatting with them electronically. And I never, ever feel alone, though. When my fear ego tries to whisper to me that I'm lonely, I immediately feel the presence of the Creator. And then the angels, guides, and loved ones from the other side make themselves known to me as well in a variety of ways. And then suddenly, maybe one of my friends or family may send me a text or a message on Facebook. It's always perfect. On Friends Day recently, Facebook usually creates a video of pictures you have posted with your friends as a celebration for Friends Day. And this year, a little message popped up for me on Facebook that read like this: "Together in friendship. Friendship is all about the moments we share together." That's so true. And then it continued and said, "It looks like we don't have enough content to make a video for you this year, but check back next Friends Day." This literally made me bust out laughing. It still cracks me up. It did not hurt my feelings at all or make me feel less. it was honestly hilarious to me. Now, I know that Facebook bases all of that on photos you tagged your friends in or photos you've been tagged in, with all the posts that you've placed out on Facebook of things you're doing in the physical world with your friends and family. So, of course, I'm not surprised that as introverted as I am these days, that I don't have a bunch of shared photos like that. But what was interesting to me is that because it was funny, I shared it with my friends on my personal page, and many of my friends laughed with me, and some, out of love, wanted to make sure that I knew that I had friends. And feeling that extra external love is always welcomed by our fear ego. It loves to feel that external validation. It likes to know it is loved and acceptable. And our fear ego likes to try to draw us back out into the game of external conditional love, which it's what we hired it to do. One of the mantras that I developed over time as I discovered that I have everything I could ever need right inside me is what I call the spice cake mantra. And this is how it goes. I am my own spice cake. The love of my true friends and family are the frosting on top of the spice cake. The accomplishments in my life are the cherry on top of the frosting, on top of the spice cake. And those intimate relationships and lovers are the whipped topping on top of the cherry, on top of the frosting, on top of the spice cake. But if I don't have any of that frosting or cherries or whipped topping, I'm still one frickin' awesome spice cake. Our fear ego will create a list of expectations that must be performed in the external world so we can check off the boxes on that list of things that have to happen to be lovable and acceptable. But once I discovered my internal journey and that I have everything I need inside me, I became less interested in group events where there was little real interaction at the deep internal level that I seek. I enjoy meeting up with one or two people and having deep conversations about the supernatural real world, about revelations and aha moments of this lifetime, and igniting the unconditional love energy. And discovering that I never have to do anything I don't want to do may rattle the lists of expectations that others feel I should obey. But that is really none of my business, as their choices and desires are none of mine. My own emotions, my own choices, my own journey is my own business. And everyone else's is theirs. How freeing it is to be able to do what you want to do every day, knowing that you are the only one in charge of that. You get to decide what each moment means to you. You get to decide what your past continues to mean to you. Or you get to decide to change that meaning in an instant. I could totally return to the life I used to live before I found the self-love inside me. There's nothing wrong with those experiences. But I grew bored of feeling like a victim in my life, thrown here and there based on other people's actions, opinions, and choices. And yes, on occasion, a new experience reminds me of those feelings. But they create such loud noise in my head that they stand out very clearly compared to the peace and bliss that is the norm in my head these days. Having moved near my family last May, I've had the opportunity to face some old expectations that had not been activated for several decades. We sometimes think we need to have this beaver-cleaver relationship with all of our family, immersed in their lives. But the reality is, we're all living our own journeys. When we leave our own business to be in someone else's business, it tends to cause an explosion in the lab where we're conducting our own experiments. And it's part of the process. And when we grow bored of the explosions, we can try something else if we want. When we're ready to start waking up and remember who we really are, it will happen. A spark. Then the unconditional love starts showing itself. We begin to realize we are unconditionally loved. We begin to realize we are unconditional love. We begin to realize we unconditionally love the world. And we begin to realize the world is made of unconditional love. Until next episode, take some deep breaths. What expectations do you feel you are currently not meeting for others? What expectations do you feel others are not meeting for you? Whose fault is it that expectations are not being met? There is no fault when you are sitting in unconditional love because there are no conditions, no expectations. There is only fault when a conditional love law has been broken. But these conditional love laws are all imaginary. Our fear ego makes up these expectations to keep us in the game of fear. Try releasing someone from just one of your expectations. Feel that freedom. Then maybe try letting go of one more. If you want. After all, it is your choice, my friend. Enjoy your voyage. I love you.